Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Yeah.
You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Orange and blue till Mets do us part. Spring training, oh yes, it's the start. City Field gritty till Mets do us part. Hit home runs and knock it out the park. Big Apple till Mets do us part. You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Listen to the show till Mets do us part. John from Brooklyn, AB reps NJ. We're the other team, I don't care what your friends say. Mets fans, we focus like a sensei. Listen to the podcast Monday, Wednesday. Made a couple bad plays, but we still won. Character, yup, we're gonna build some. Are you gonna check the pod? It's real fun. Just like Mookie, I will, son. So invest with your heart. Orange and blue till Mets do us part. Spring training, oh yes, it's the start. City Field gritty till Mets do us part. Hit home runs and knock it out the park. Big Apple till Mets do us part. You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Listen to the show.
Available now on all streaming platforms. If you love the New York Mets, check out Til Mets Do Us Part. Enough rapping. Let's get to yapping.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Til Mets Do Us Part. We are live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack, like we are each and every single Wednesday, right around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But let's call it what it is. It's never quite 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you know, you know. John Saponaro coming to you from North Hollywood, California, where I am learning a little bit more each day of what it might be like to live on the surface of the fucking sun. And that means that my co-host, Matt Ibanez, is holding things down back in New Jersey. Ibby, lots to talk about today. The Mets are playing really good, really inspired baseball. I'm not talking about playoffs, but the fan base has bought back in. I'm having fun watching it. You're having fun watching it. Citi Field basically full last night. I'm sure it was a little less so for a day game today, but fans are buying back in. We've got a lot to talk about as it relates to this team for the final 30 or so games of the Mets season. But before we do that, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good, John. Obviously, like you just said, our New York Mets are playing much better baseball, and that's obviously giving us a better product and more entertainment that we've been getting for the majority of the season. They've been playing some, like you said, inspired baseball, especially since that trade deadline where you got rid of a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about those things today. But before we get into all of that, and before we talk about that red light being on, and I know you're here, Carson, so I got to make sure I say it. I don't want to forget. I did want to give a quick shout out to some people real quick, mainly because I spoke on some things to open the show last week, and I'm going through some things personally. And I just wanted to say, once again, thank you to everyone that made that show last week so much fun. Shout out to the ones that have been checking in on me as well, sending me messages, DMs, words of encouragement, things along those lines. I thank you so much. And I don't know if he wants me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway because it needs to be said. Shout out to Armand here in the chat, who has been a supporter of the show for a long time and who actually took the time to travel to my father's wake. And I really appreciated that, for him being there to show his condolences and things of that nature. So shout out to you, brother. I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate the love that you sent to not only me, but to my family as well. All of that being said, we do have a show to move forward with, and I'm excited to move forward with it because our Mets are playing some much better baseball and giving us some more content to cover and speak on. So once again, the red light's on. Let's have some fun.
Quick roll call throughout the comments. We've got about 40 folks with us right now. I'm sure that number will continue to grow. And I guess I should mention here at the top of the show, because I'm really bad at doing it at the top of the show. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. The only way to become a live commenter during the live stream, which is redundant, but whatever, is to be a subscriber to our channel. It'll also make sure that you never, ever, ever miss a moment when we are going live. Just hit that notification bell and you will know, hey, it's 5:30-ish on a Wednesday or a Tuesday or a Thursday or whatever day we might decide to go live at a particular time, and then you can join in with us. We have Cindy, Shark Vader Studios is here. Lazy Mary, the aforementioned Armand is with us. Brad, Mike Laverty is back. Mike Laverty, hey everybody, been a while, been off the grid for a little bit. We all need a little bit of that sometimes. Welcome back, Mike.
Welcome back, Mike.
We have John Clampett Jr., 196, just waving it, folks. I believe that's a new commenter, Ibby, or a new-ish commenter. So
welcome, man. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show, or welcome back if we may have missed you before. Apologies for that. We've got Burnt Toast is here. We've got Gab saying, y'all better not be breaking cards without me. Well, guess what? I teased a lot of stuff at the beginning in the open, but we're not doing any of it. It's 11 hours straight of me and Ibby live breaking cards right here today. That's right, baby. We're breaking cards till the break of dawn, and ain't nobody fucking stopping us. We got Joe DeMeo in the house. We have who else? That might be it. A lot of comments from a lot of this. Oh, Ethan KL is here with us. Okay, there we go. As I scroll down further and further, Pantrice is with us, Stevie Mack, and that will round out the live commenters. But I'm sure, again, those numbers will continue to grow as we get deeper and deeper into the show. A lot of questions, Ibby, right off the rip. So we'll just address one. Lazy Mary, is John wearing a NY Liberty jersey? LOL. Yes, I am. So
he is.
I am wearing a New York Liberty jersey. I went to my first WNBA game like 2.5 weeks ago out here in LA. It was Liberty Sparks. It was fantastic. Honestly, I had a blast. And shout out to WNBA. Shout out to women's sports, women in sports. It's great. So Joe DeMeo, what is everyone's favorite thing to dip in pasta and popcorn? Ibby, the floor is yours.
I'm going to pass on that one. I don't know if I'm dipping much into it, but yeah, it's just a little odd to me. Not my cup of tea. Not what I would be doing, at least.
It's odd, and not in the way that Odd Villain is odd. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Odd Villain. It's odd. Just look.
I mean, to each their own.
To each their own. You know, we've all been to we've all been to like the soda machine, and you just like kind of do like some weird, I don't know, concoction with the sodas, right? Yeah. Like, okay. It usually turns out pretty gross, but listen, again, to each their own. I've been known to eat some stuff. I'm a when in Rome kind of enjoy foods that some people would probably be repulsed by. So, but I would not be mixing things like this. I'll just put it that way. But to each their own. Yes, Lazy, it is a throwback Liberty jersey. It's Rebecca Lobo. So shout out to the Liberty and whatever. Anyway, Ibby, I think this is a great way to sort of. Oh, actually, hold on. This is the other question.
Oh,
will we see the lavender graphic, Ibby? And you know that we can't unless
I posted it today. It's I mean, I can work on something new that won't get us demonetized, which is so ridiculous, but I did tweet it today, so it is on my feed. The original copy, if you will, the original recording. So I'll try to work on something that we can put on here that won't get us flagged for, the 6 seconds worth of spa music.
Yeah, you got to be careful, man. It is tough out
ridiculous.
Here in these YouTube streets. I mean, you use what you think is like royalty-free audio because of where you got it, and they don't sponsor us or anything, so I'm not going to mention the thing, but it's a site that everyone's aware of, and you think like, I'll just play it. It's like whatever, 4 seconds, 6 seconds, and then you find out like, no, not like that. It's like, all right, man, Jesus. Okay, so we're going to have to do, you release the OG version. Yes. And now we're going to have to do the remastered version. So there you go. I think this is the comment that I wanted to start on, which is from Cindy saying, what's up, TMDUP? What's up, chat? I said the other night watching Subway to Shea, and I will say it, shout out Subway to Shea and Aunt Rivera. I'll say it again. We can't change the last 4 months, but it's been fun watching them since the deadline. And I sort of said that in the open. Yesterday, I met up with Joe Perino, and we went out to watch the Mets game. We haven't hung out in a couple months, so we're trying to, find something to a day we could get together and go out and do something. But Ibby, I haven't made it like appointment viewing to watch the Mets for months. I mean, we have to watch the games because we do this show. Right. I have to watch the games because of Mets Daily. I'm a Mets fan. I want to watch the games, but you have it on in the background. I'm cooking, I'm doing laundry, I'm whatever, doing literally anything else and kind of just half paying attention. Yesterday was the first time that me and Joe kind of, set out to watch this game. And, I threw on some Mets gear. I had a jersey. I had a hat. I'm like, screw it. Like, I haven't been able to wear this stuff pretty much all season. We'll go into a sports bar. Let's rep the swag. Let's rep the colors. Right. And I found myself feeling like a little bit of FOMO that I wasn't going to Citi Field, like that I wasn't capable of just going to this game because of where the vibes have been for like the last 2 weeks. And look, I've lived in LA for like 7 years. I've resigned to the fact that like I can't go to Citi Field as often as I did when I lived in New York, or go to as many Mets games as I did growing up or whatever. But I think this swing back by the fan base is just really indicative of how good this fan base can be when everybody is pulling in the same direction. And obviously the Mets have to hold up their end of the bargain, which they've done. But Ibby, this team forced us into a state of apathy all throughout the beginning of the summer, which we always say is the worst damn thing a team can do. But how quickly these fans have bought back in, and kudos to and I'm not talking about bought back in with the playoffs and things like that. We can talk about that towards the end of the show, but just as a concept of like, no, I love baseball. I love the Mets. Come what may, the Mets are playing good baseball. So I want to go out with my buddy and watch this game. I want to go to Citi Field. I saw Lazy Mary saying like cashing in some vouchers, getting more tickets. Lazy Mary went on the road to watch these games in Pittsburgh and Cleveland, and people are doing that stuff. Like, it's just a testament to, one, how the team is playing, and two, how quickly the fan base is like, yeah, man, this is all I'm asking you to do, is just play representative baseball, even if it's too little, too late.
Yeah, I think, look.
Your audio just dropped out completely. I don't know what happened right there. You might have muted yourself. Did you pull your mic? That was a bit odd. Wait. I can hear you now.
You got me?
Yeah. I don't know. That's strange.
That was weird. No, but I think we all had this idea of what this season would be. And we all felt that it was going to be much better than what obviously it turned out to be. So like, we were always hungry for this type of baseball. Like, we've been waiting for it. So the fact that it's finally happening, and it sucks that, we'll talk more about it. Is this too little too late or what have you towards the tail end of the show. But like, everything that they're doing right now, it's making it a point where I'm finally getting back to the idea of getting home from work and saying, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch the Met game. Like, for a while, it was like I was doing it out of like, whatever, like, here it is. But like, again, background noise, what have you, because it wasn't like, it was just frustrating. I was just getting more angry as I was watching it. But the fact now that they've done the job of playing better baseball and, pulling me back in to where it's like, all right, let's go. Let's win a ball game. Let's go out there. Let's try to build on some of the things that they've gotten, post deadline. And, they're what, 12-4 post deadline. So it's like, it's great to see. And like, again, I come back to what I was saying last week, where I was like, man, if they would have just changed a couple of things a little bit earlier, maybe we're talking about a different stance, a different place within the standings and what could have been. But again, like, we can't keep looking back, as it was mentioned in that comment, what happened prior. They're playing good ball now. It is what it is. We sit back, we enjoy, and you hope that they can build off of it.
And look, Joe Saturn, I've had this comment up for a moment. Ibby, confirming what you were saying. Mets are 12-4 since the deadline. And look, that's the kind of pace that they're going to need to continue to go on if you want some kind of miracle. But adding this in, Ibby, from Joe, 48-49 since May 2nd. I mean, look, that's not a great baseball team, but that's a team that, if they weren't buried in April, is right in the thick of things now. They wouldn't have to be in the weak American League to make a season out of it.
Almost as if that 112 game losing streak wouldn't have sunk us. If you cut that in half, maybe things are a little bit different. Again, yeah, it's just looking back. I know, can't look back, but still frustrating nonetheless.
You can't look back, but look, we have to address this way. I talked about it a little bit on Twitter. I mentioned it on Mets Daily, I think 2 days ago or whatever, and we have to bring it up here. Lazy Mary's comment rings true. It appears Mendoza was in fact a Menbozo. Look, I don't think everything that we talked about before Mendoza was fired, when we went live to talk about his firing, post firing in the immediate aftermath, I'm not here to attach percentages of blame to a team with this payroll and this roster and these expectations and all that goes with it when it's this bad. Everyone is to blame. Everyone was to blame. Coaches, front office, manager, GM, Pobo, owner, players, the whole thing. Everybody except the people who work in the stadium are to blame. Everyone around this team was to blame. So I don't care if people think Mendoza was 100% responsible, 50%. It doesn't make a difference to me. But what I will say is that, and you sort of alluded to this, there is a fix when baseball teams are underachieving. And it doesn't always result in a Red Sox run this year. It doesn't always result in a Phillies run this season. Sometimes it's just a little galvanizing for a little bit, and then the team fades back into obscurity. But Ibby, the Mets are now a better than 500 team under Andy Green. And I don't know if there's some world beater, but I do think that if you just fired Mendoza at some point in the midst or shortly thereafter from that 12-game losing streak, again, we might not be looking at a team that is buried right now. And that's the difference. This run has been fun, but they are so buried that everything needs to be perfect for them to have a literal miracle. Whereas if you just add, I don't know, 3 wins into that 12-game losing streak where they win one, they just break it up a little bit, maybe they don't fall flat on their face for the first couple months of the season. And to me, that's where Carlos Mendoza's ghost still kind of haunts us in the 2026 season.
Yeah, I was just looking at what Ethan was saying in the comments, and he was saying how, when a team is as laid back as they are, if the manager is that laid back and almost, not caring in a sense, or, get him whatever the next day, or we're working on, we'll do this with that, then nothing really happens. And your team emulates what you are. And we talked about that at length when it came to Mendoza, how everything that he was putting out was just so laissez-faire, and it was just like, no, it's no big deal. And then we saw within the team, where it's like, no, it's no big deal. You make an error, you boot a ball, well, it's no big deal. I'll get him next time. It's like, and then next time never came. And then the losses kept piling and piling and piling, and they just couldn't get up. And it's what sucks. And seeing how, they're a 500 club since that given date, like, man, what could have been. And again, that's back-to-back seasons now where we're ending up saying the same thing, where it's like, man, if they didn't have this one thing happen, man, if they could have just won a couple of games in September last year, man, if they look back at this one series, man, when you look back at this 12-game losing streak, man, like all these things, it's like, fuck, like it could have been a different story if we had just been a little bit better, or in the front office's case, a little bit less stubborn.
Yeah. And look, I agree with Edward Wall here. It's not Mendoza's old news. And like Cindy said, we're trying to look forward. We're not trying to look back, but sometimes you have to take a peek backwards just so that you can realize how you got here. And I agree with Edward here. I don't think Mendoza, which is what Edward's saying, I don't think Mendoza was uncaring. I think he was overwhelmed. I think that's the thing.
I think expectation truly crushed him. I do.
Yeah.
I think expectation and the addition of Soto, everything, it was just too much for him. He couldn't do it.
And look, Ibby, we've all been there, whether it's something to do with work or our personal lives, or honestly, sometimes just the mundane. Like, you ever just look around your house or your apartment and you're like, man, I gotta do all these dishes, and I got to fold laundry, and I got to clean the floors, and I got to go clean the bath. And I'm not trying to compare that to be a major league manager, but it's just like human nature. Sometimes you're just like, there's so much, and I just don't even know where to start. And I just don't even know how to focus. And obviously that's his job. And that's the problem, is that I feel like he was overwhelmed. Things spiraled on him. Things got too big. And again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you with like definitively that they'd be in a playoff spot without, like, had they made this move sooner, because I don't necessarily believe that to be true. But what I can say is, based on the evidence since May 2nd, since Andy Green took over, since the deadline, since X, since Y, since Z, I can say with certainty that I think they'd be a bit better than they are right now. And a bit better might be the difference between them making the playoffs actually and just, having this little run fall a bit short. And that kind of sucks. It just kind of does. How much better would the vibes around this team feel, even if they snuck into the playoffs and got bounced right away? How much better would you feel going into 2027, knowing this team has, I think we're fairly certain that there's a good nucleus of players here, but
it's what they've been saying
so
too.
much better about what they could do. And that's why I don't care about tanking for draft picks, and I don't care about getting protected picks. Win, because these guys are going to be here in 2027, all but a few of them. So the winning does matter. It just kind of sucks because I think this winning, we could all be getting truly excited right now. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do, not to bury the lead before we get into some of that other stuff later on. But it's just a bummer. It's just a bummer that they waited so long, because it was the easiest decision in the world to just let him go.
And again, it comes back to what I said. I would always grade Stearns on, and it's why it was so upsetting during the time when I spoke about it then, where it's like, I don't want this man as the president of baseball ops to be stubborn or to be, so headstrong on something that it is clear as day you need to change. Don't be that guy. Don't be that Epler type. But he couldn't cut ties. And I still don't think, if he had his way, I still don't think he really wanted to. I don't think he wanted to get rid of him. I think other things came into play from Cohen and just the overall heat that was coming down on this team from a media standpoint. I still think he would have held on to him even longer if he could have, which is why he said the things that he was saying when he did. But it doesn't matter. It's over. I did want to pull up a comment because it's a new comment. It's a new commenter. Shout out.
I know who it's going to be.
Shout out to John Alba. What's up, John? Thank you for joining the show. Saying how it was at the ballpark the night of the outfield assists and the vibes were strong. But I also had the hot pastrami, so vibes are going to be strong regardless. And of course, it's playing up the whole food topic that we were just covering. But shout out to you, John, for joining the chat. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I mean, those outfield assists and the vibes that they were bringing from the kids. We'll talk about them when we get into Carson Benge and what this team is, not only in the moment, but moving forward into 27. Awesome time, awesome game to see, awesome plays to watch. And those kids are just, again, as Soto called them, those psychopaths out there. They are, appointment television. They really are. And it's fun to see. And I love what Benge is doing. We'll get more into that shortly. And the other piece that John threw in there too, to cap off this conversation, I'm more of the belief that the fresh faces and energy has something to do with the recent success more so than the managing. And sometimes all it takes is that youthful exuberance to come from certain players, and you let them run with things. And sometimes that bleeds into the core of the team and what they can actually get behind. And veterans buy in, and those kids get an opportunity to let themselves show out and not be afraid to, step on toes in that sense. So yeah, I think that that's a fair statement to make when it comes to the overall outlook of this team at the moment.
Yeah, and then John, and shout out John Alba. Thank you for joining the show via YouTube. Finishes the thought by saying Green made a move the other night that made legitimately zero sense, but it didn't matter. I really feel like it was more about who was at the disposal of the manager than the managing itself, just his take. And that's a fair take to have, honestly.
Fair.
And that's why I said, like, I'm not dumping this all on the doorstep of Carlos Mendoza. That would be disingenuous. It would be unfair. It would be unrealistic. And so you can have that take, honestly. Like, I don't think John is off base with this, but no. I think it was just a combination of things. But Ibby, we talked about it while it was happening. Yeah, he didn't have great players, a lot of injuries. They were dealing with so much stuff at that time. But he also just didn't seem like he ever had a handle on it. To me, that's the problem. And that's where Edward Wall's comment comes back, where it's about being overwhelmed. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's your job to stem the tide. It's your job to right the ship. It's your job to, as Carson always says, there was no leader in that dugout besides some of the players, and sometimes that's not good enough. The manager's job is to be the leader. And so, I do appreciate the comments from John, and I don't even necessarily disagree, but I do think that that's just one sort of small factor in what is a big picture sort of I don't know, bag of bullshit, honestly, if I could just put it that way. We mentioned Odd Villain. Shout out Odd saying, John, looking like a stud in that Liberty jersey. And I pulled it up not to be self-serving, but because I like the way Odd takes a moment to throw compliments people's way. Because then he says, John Alba looks like a mob-affiliated real estate agent suit on fleek. Welcome to the show officially, John, because if you've caught the attention of Odd Villain, you are doing things the right way. Look, let's dive right into this Carson Benge thing, because Carson Benge, obviously he has the 2 assists. And then the Mets wind up getting 4 outs at the plate in 2 innings, including, 2 by the same guy on back-to-back plays, 3 from the outfield, 4 outs by rookies at the plate in the first 2 innings. It's just absolutely insane, stats when you start to pull those things up, right? But then Carson Benge has also obviously been delivering with the bat, another home run today, and he is making the push, Ibby, a realistic push for National League Rookie of the Year. Now, look, gun to my head right now, if you make me pick, I think the Rookie of the Year is Sal Stewart. I think that he's going to hit over 30 home runs. He's going to get, if he stays on this pace, well over 100 RBI. What he is doing as a rookie, I forget about playing in that bandbox, Great American Small Park. Those counting stats are going to matter. The OPS is going to be through the roof. It's going to look really sexy. But a lot of people keep banging this JJ Weatherholt drum because of the WAR. And maybe I don't think that he's the real competition for Benge, because Weatherholt started out great. He's been dipping month over month offensively since this has gone on, as Benge has been going up offensively month over month. And Benge has been able, now that he's settled into right field, he's going to close the gap on WAR for defensive value. Now, look, he's probably never going to get close to him. He's not going to catch him in WAR, but I think he can catch him in all of the offensive stats and pass him. So I'm not super concerned about JJ Weatherholt. If you want Benge to win Rookie of the Year, the guy you have to contend with, in my opinion, is Sal Stewart, not JJ Weatherholt.
They showed the graphic on today's game talking about the NL Rookie of the Year chase, and they showed 4 names, that being the 2 Mets and Benge and McClain, as well as Weatherholt and Sal Stewart. And they broke down all the numbers, and I think that the numbers they highlighted on each one was kind of showing you what is best suited for their case. With Benge, it was showing the average home runs and stolen bases. Weatherholt, it showed homers, stolen bases, and his B-WAR. Then you have Sal Stewart with the homers, RBIs, and his OPS. Look, I'm with you. Gun to my head right now, I'm probably saying Sal Stewart, because I think the counting stats by the end of it are most likely going to give it to him, because he's going to have, let's say, 35 home runs, 110 RBIs, an OPS that's probably going to be, 815 or higher, whatever it may be. I still feel like that has the chance. Unfortunately, and again, maybe I'm wrong here. I feel as though when you look at the sports books and things of that nature, whether it's FanDuel, DraftKings, whether you're on Kalshi, whatever it is, you see the numbers and you see the projections and how people are betting or whatnot, and you see the odds. And I just think that I feel as though the decision has already been made, and I feel like it's the same way when it comes to the writers as well. I think a majority of them have already written off the Mets because they've been so bad and they've been such a disaster in terms of the payroll and what they were supposed to be, that they're not really paying attention to what Carson Benge is doing. And I feel bad about that, but I think the odds do reflect that, where he's plus 900, and I think it should be better than that. But I really think that it's going to come down to the voters. It's going to be between Weatherholt and Stewart. And I hate saying it because I'm a Met fan and I love what Benge is doing. And I do believe, and I'm with Joe DeMeo when he's been tweeting about it too, there's a legit case here for what Benge has been doing. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, not even just as a Mets fan, but just as a baseball fan. I do think that there is a legitimate case here for him to be right in the thick of it, because as you just said, as others are dropping, he is ascending. So it's it's the timing aspect. You should be watching this, but unfortunately, and maybe this is me just, tinfoil hat, what have you, I just feel that in their minds, the baseball writers' minds, they're already debating between, is it Stewart or Weatherholt, and that's it.
And look, Pentry says, so damn true, Ibby. It for sure feels like we are written off. My counter to what you're saying, because I agree with you, but my counter argument that I would put out here for the Mets and for Mets fans and for friggin' Carson Benge, who wants to win the award, is this run that the Mets are on will start to get voters and national media to pay attention. And if Benge continues to play well, it'll cause them to dive deeper into his numbers. I think that the Mets winning, even if they fall well short of the playoffs, this little run that they've been on, however unlikely, the antics and the fun that Jeffrey Yan brings to the team, this no-name bullpen, I think it's going to make people start to look again. And I tweeted this the other day after Benge had those 2 outfield assists. You start doing things that haven't been done in 80 years or haven't been done ever or whatever. You start doing all this stuff. You throw the hardest outfield assist of the season and the 5th hardest in the StatCast era. That's going to get people in the national media, the people with votes for Rookie of the Year, to go, oh, wait, what is Carson Benge doing? What's happening over there? Because I think you're right. I think for a long time, and rightfully so, because the Mets were terrible, he just existed in the doldrums. And it was just like, Mets. I mean, geez, the Mets might as well play in fucking Siberia. Nobody's watching it. Can't get these games. I don't want to watch this brand of baseball. But now they're playing a brand of baseball that is fun, is exciting, is watchable, is turning some heads, and then you have Benge's play coinciding with it. And that's why I agree with this point from Joe, where it's really twofold. Nolan McLean is going to finish the year with a low mid-3s ERA and probably 200 Ks, followed it up by saying, really, Weatherholt should be 4th here in Rookie of the Year voting. I agree. I don't think that Nolan McLean is going to win the award because I think there's a bias to position players, and I think McLean trying to get over Weatherholt, Benge, and Stewart is way too much. You'd have to have a crazy, insanely good year to do that. But maybe I agree with Joe's tally here. I think it should be Benge or Stewart, 1 and 2, and then the other guy fills in, and then McLean, and then J.J. Weatherholt. To me, J.J. Weatherholt is being overrated because of defense at second base, which, like, Jesus Christ, bro, really? That's what we're talking about here?
But here's, like, and maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm just, I have such a disdain for how a lot of these people vote when it comes to a majority of these things, whether it's, Rookie of the Year, MVP, Hall of Fame, like whatever it may be. But I feel like Weatherholt's going to get the love from the defensive standpoint and the WAR perspective, because that's writers saying, hey, look at us. We do pay attention to these metrics and the advanced stuff, and we look beyond the, the home runs and the average, and see, we're doing what you want us to do. Like we look, see, we are hip. We are into it. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing in 2026. Like, that's kind of where I lean. And maybe that's too far on my end, but I still feel like some of these voters do act that way.
I think you're right about some of that, but we'll see when push comes to shove, right? Because one thing that we can all agree on is that it's probably going to come down to a more well-rounded player, a bit of a WAR darling, whether it is J.J. Weatherholt or Carson Benge, and Sal Stewart, who's going to have the sexy numbers, the sexy old school numbers, chicks dig the long ball kind of nonsense. And so now we're going to see. Yeah, sorry, this is a two-parter. Francesa get a vote?
Guys, it's too early. We end the show. Come on, end the show. We do this.
Yeah, we can't do that now. We can't. I'll never stop. If I get into my dumbass Francesa shtick, I'll never stop doing it.
Well, the whole okay.
Okay. Well, the whole okay.
Okay.
I every once in a while I listen to
what is it good for?
Okay.
What is it good for?
Okay. War. I know. I went to go see Eric Burden and War one time at Jones Beach in I think it was 1979. Okay. It wasn't good. Okay, it wasn't that good. I got to be honest with you. Okay. I like Eric Burden and the Animals. Okay, classic song. Okay. Everybody knows House of the Rising Sun. Okay, but Spill the Wine, Dig That Girl, not for me. Pass.
Pass. Oh my God.
I just love Bert Toast Francesa on the Ultimate Warrior's death.
Oh my God.
I agree with Odd Villain. We should do a whole show as Mike and the Man.
I mean,
maybe
look,
maybe around Halloween.
I mean, maybe around Halloween, or if we get into this lockout and it's boring, like we can definitely have some fun with things like that, because there's like we said before, there is so much content that we can run with. We can have some fun with that one for sure.
Absolutely. There's speaking of, there's no good time to bring this up because it's kind of apropos of nothing, but just comments that were happening. But since we're talking about Francesa, Odd Villain said earlier in quotes, that black guy with the Chinese name, Jeffrey Yang, I don't like the antics. Average WNBA
It's true.
listener.
It's true. It's
That
true.
is so spot on. Lazy Mary reacting to the John Alba looks like a mob affiliated real estate agent suit on fleek, saying selling you a home you can't refuse, which is
That's a good one.
Very, very,
that's a good one.
Very good. I think this is one of the like funniest 2-word phrases I can imagine in the context of a sports conversation. Odd Villain saying Jorge Lowry, reverse MVP. I think reverse MVP is such a hilarious concept.
That's a good one.
Reverse MVP. It's just like, how bad do you want? Like, oh my God. Joe DeMeo, is War a sci-fi movie? I don't like sci-fi. Okay.
Okay.
War, what is this, War? Okay. Another good one, Stevie Mack. Benj robbed us of more Beatty in right field. How dare he? Shaking his fist. There's oh God. Yes. Yeah, I'll pull this up. Easy. I got to the show late. Did you guys discuss that fraud and clown Hoffman from WFAN? He's a joke. And you said stay tuned. But yeah, stay tuned. I have a feeling that's gonna come up. Look, you look at what Benj is doing. You look at what, this team has managed to do. And I think it's a good way to kind of bring this conversation together here to close out the first half. Something that we have on the crawl at the bottom is, this Andy Green discourse. Steve Cohen was just asked about it. Andy Green's been asked about it. We've talked about how successful the Mets have been under him. David Stearns has been asked about it. And the foregone thought is that he is going to go back to the front office, which is a role he has thrived in, which is a role that he enjoys, which is a role that allows him to spend more time with his family. But the more the Mets win, whether it's the right idea, the wrong idea, just a neutral idea, fans and the media and even the Mets and maybe even the players and Andy Green himself are going to start to think like, I don't know, maybe could I do this? Do I like doing this? And Steve Cohen basically said as much. He's like, look, we're going to conduct a full managerial search. And then if Andy decides he wants to throw his hat in the ring, sure, that'd be great. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. But I think what we have on the scroll is, if Andy Green returns to the front office, he's now given the Mets a managerial blueprint. And that was your word. And we talked about this right before we went live. And I think that word blueprint is exactly the word that you're looking for, because if not Andy Green, you need this. You need what he is bringing to the table. And I think that's what the Mets, that's maybe the biggest gift that Andy Green can give to the Mets is, not a clone of him, not a copy of him, but the way he is handling it. And I think that's where the Mets need to look. And I think that's going to be something they need to really come to terms with, is that this has been the guy, man. This is the mold that we have to try to emulate.
Yeah. I just think that, obviously I think that he is somebody that wants to truly go back up. I think he's doing this. And I think the way that he's actually managing is someone who's just, I don't want to say it's like managing without caring, but it's almost as if he knows, like, I'm here for whatever it was, 80 something games or whatever. Like, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to shoot them straight. I'm going to talk to these kids the way that I normally do, and what we're trying to push with them, and what we want them to reach within this organization. I'm going to talk to them that way. And then that's basically, I'm going to go back to doing my job. And he kind of gives off that, again, it's like I don't care attitude, but really at the same time, he does care, because he's not allowing this New York aura or this New York vibe, if you will, that really weighs on some people that come into these jobs. And that could also be because the expectations were extremely low because we took over them. It seems as though the season was over. So it's kind of just like, go out there and do whatever you want. But I still think that if there's one thing that he's proving, it's that, and I mean this, and this is the tough part because I don't know how much is going to be out there because of the names that we already know, but it's showing you that you have to have someone that knows already what they're doing and has some more experience and cachet, if you will, when it comes to managing in a big spot. And that's why we'll talk about this more in the offseason where it's like, that's why I still think that, you have to be aggressive when it comes to somebody like Cora. But I just think that that's somebody who has those communication skills, has won in a big place, has managed in a big place, understands expectations, can go about speaking to players that way. Like, that's why I think that fits so well. We'll see if it actually happens. But that's why I especially fear so much that what Green has been doing, I'm not sure if those things can be had with first-year managers, whether it is a Carlos Beltran, an Albert Pujols, or a or Yadier Molina. Like, I'm not sure if you're going to have those things because they don't have set experience. And then again, it's learning what it's like to face the pressures of New York. You say, well, Beltran's been there before. Like, yeah, but this is a little bit different now. He can't go out there and try to swing a bat and handle it himself. He has to bank on other people listening to him and controlling the room. And I know that people have said before, this team needs somebody that's played and has experience, and that in turn can control the room. I'm not sure if it is that. I think that this team really needs a strong voice, and I think that that's going to come from someone that's done this before.
A couple great comments here. Gab saying, I think Green has a better take on the intangibles, accountability, etc. As far as game decisions go, I think they're pretty even. I think that's a fair take.
I think that's very fair. I do.
I think it's unrealistic and, again, unfair and just sort of unfathomable to try to go like tit for tat with every move that each one of these guys has made, because every manager makes bad moves that work out and good moves that don't work out. And, you follow the logic, but it didn't work, or this is the easiest thing in the world and they don't go to it and somehow it works anyway. I think you just look at it big picture and you can't nitpick each and every single thing and line them up. Good decision, bad decision. One, we'd be here all year. Right. And two, again, I think it's a little unfair and a little disingenuous to do, but I do think that Gab's spot on with the first part of that, which is the accountability, the just handling the vibes, managing the personalities. You have to give the advantage to Green as far as that's concerned. John Alba saying, I would really be surprised if Green is the manager next year. I do tend to agree. I don't think it's going to be him. Follows it up by saying Beltran, Pujols, and Gab would be on the short list.
Gab knows what she's doing.
But
would she? Do you break cards in the dugout? Is that how you gain the respect of the room? You can't do that.
I think that violates the collective bargaining agreement. It has to, because look, here's the thing.
Unless they work it in.
Well, that's true because the CBA is up.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, right? You can't have any streaming devices. You can only have iPads that aren't connected to the internet, stuff like that in the dugout. No phones. And so if you're breaking cards in the dugout, but there's nobody there to watch it, it really becomes like if a tree falls in the forest scenario.
Very true. Very true.
So
you're right.
That's really where it's tough. And then it becomes, what does Gab want more? Does she want to, be a part of the Mets organization, or does she want to break cards? And that's a decision only Gab can answer, really. Because
that is true.
Far be it for me to speak for her. I never would. So it's a real question that she would have to really come to terms with. But Odd Villain, I think, makes a really great point here. Just simply saying the next manager, whoever it is, should just wear Tim's every game. That's so fucking funny.
That's a contender. That's a good one.
Because here's the thing, I mean, here's why this is really funny to me. And I don't like explaining jokes, but I just like why it got me is because it's the stupid ass fucking quote from Air Bud. There ain't no rules says a dog can't play basketball.
Right.
There ain't no rules says a manager can't wear Tim's. They're not playing. They usually just wear sneakers. So why not just wear Timberland boots? Timberland just had that partnership with New Era. There is the Mets logo Timberland.
I mean,
boots.
could you imagine how awesome it would be if a Met player actually got cleats that looked like Tim's like that? I mean, the idea is there. You could do it.
Oh, it's right.
It's right there. I'm surprised no one's taken it.
It's a shame that Vientos sucks because that feels like a Vientos thing.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I know he wears those ugly ass Skechers.
Yeah.
Shout out Lazy Mary for pointing that out. I never noticed that until Lazy Mary said it. I think he's the only person in the history of baseball to have cleats by Skechers. I've never seen them even in my slow pitch softball league, which you would think if you're going to see Skechers cleats somewhere, it would be in a slow pitch softball league. But no, just Mark Vientos. But he's the guy. He's the guy who would have Timberland cleats, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to pan out for old Swaggy V. Ibby, you mentioned having done it before with regards to the managers, and I think that's why a couple months ago, I think it was probably right after he got fired, Mendoza, I put out like a too soon list of people I would consider, and Beltran and Pujols and Yadier Molina were on there. But then, at the top of my list, it was Cora. I had a guy like David Ross in the mix who was fired sort of unceremoniously so that the Cubs could hire Craig Counsell.
Right.
Look, he had some good times there. He had some bad times there. I'm not saying he didn't deserve to get fired or whatever, but it was just clear that they were like, we'd just rather have this other guy. The other person that I put on the list, people laughed at me for, was Rocco Baldelli because of how bad that Twins team underachieved under him. But Ibby, now you're looking at it with Andy Green. Andy Green was a bad manager with the Padres.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to get another go around. We talk about it all the time in the NFL. And I know the NFL is not the MLB and baseball is not football. And I joke around with people on Twitter all the time. I'm like, this is apples to hand grenades. You cannot make this comparison. But there is something to be said about experience in a job. And so I like Beltran. I think Beltran would probably be a good manager based on the leadership. I like the idea of Yadier Molina because we've seen a little bit of it in the World Baseball Classic. I'm a little scared about the thought of Albert Pujols because, sometimes when you're just too good, can you really coach? Like, can you really manage? And I know managing is different than being a coach in a different sport because it's less X's and O's, but Pujols scares me a little bit. But that's why I would lean to one of those three guys who has done it before, even if it's somebody that people don't like a Baldelli, because I see the value in like, okay, you took your lumps. You learned some things, you had some wins, you had some losses, you got fired, and maybe now you can come in here and you can show what you've learned. I mean, look, hell, we saw it with Terry Collins. Terry Collins was a guy, former guest on this show, a person we've talked to a million times at the Queen's Baseball Convention. There was talk about Terry Collins like not being able to be a manager, not being able to relate to players. He was going to get eaten alive in New York because of what happened in Anaheim. Terry Collins became a pretty successful manager, and he clearly learned from his mistakes. So I would rather go to somebody who's already done it than somebody who hasn't. And for me, leave the other guys out of the conversation. For me, that's the biggest knock on Beltran. It's just that.
Right. And I wanted to bring up this comment because I do think that this is also part of my thought process, but I will offer my other stance on this as well, and that's from John again, saying how I think they want someone who will follow the plan from the front office, which I agree with. They usually want the inexperienced candidates. Also, why I think there's no shot at Cora, and the reason why, I agree with that stance, John. I do, and my counter to it would only be, I think that the Cora conversation is really going to come down to. Obviously, Steve Cohen came out today and says he backs David Stern, so on and so forth, and he's going to follow the plan and he's going to see out this contract, which he said, the month prior. I think the interesting thing here is going to be if a Cora is brought in. I think that shows you that Steve Cohen is saying some things because I agree with you. I don't know if Cora would be a choice for David Stearns because of the friction it could cause because Cora has been known to rock the boat a little bit. There were rumors of Cora wanting to be somebody that works within a front office as well. People thought that he was going to no longer be the manager in Boston, potentially move into the front office. Clearly that's an idea that's been floated around for a while. Would that be something that Stearns wants potentially breathing down his neck in a chance where, we're on the back end of this contract? Is he going to end up remaining here? Will he find his way towards a second contract? Can he pull himself out of this rut that he's put himself in with the media and the overall team and how they've performed? I think that that's going to be the interesting point here. If the Mets are legit Cora players, does that show a little bit of one of two things? Is Stearns being more willing to work with someone because he knows he's against the fire? Or is this more so Cohen saying, I'm going to hire this guy to let you know that you're basically not as safe as you think you are, but I want this guy because he is the best manager. So it's like, that's kind of where I am with that one. But I agree with you. If Cohen continues to give the keys to Stearns, I can agree that he probably won't go the core route, even though I think he should.
It's hard to argue that because Cohen has thrown his support behind Stearns, and Cohen only gets involved when things are either going very wrong, and he has to because he's the owner, and he's like, well, now I got to get involved. And he said as much on, whatever show that is with John Heyman while he's half asleep and Joel Sherman while we look up his nose. But he also gets involved when, owners have to get involved. Major transactions, big time signings like a Juan Soto. You've got to do the courtship, the wine and dine. Plus, you have to get your owner to sign off on, $500 million, $750 million, $250 million, where you're like, okay, well, I kind of need this guy to be involved. But I just think, Ibby, I think we're going to learn a little bit about Stearns here. We've talked about that a lot on this show over the last several weeks and the last several months. Stearns has to show what he has learned. And I think one of the things that I'm looking to see Stearns show is that he needs to go against some of his preconceived notions. He has to go against some of the things. Oh, I can't sign a pitcher to a long-term deal. Not if they're not Yamamoto and 25 years old. Well, you know what? You should really sign Tarek Skubal to a long-term deal. I don't really care about the money. You shouldn't care about the money. This ain't Milwaukee. Oh, I can't work with a really strong-willed manager. Listen, nobody's asking you to try to dig up the body of Yogi Berra and flash this back, or get Billy Martin out here like it's 40 years ago. Alex Cora might be a strong-minded manager, but he's not like, I don't like analytics, I'm not going to do it. Blah, 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 blah. Like, none of these managers that you can hire now in 2026 are going to act like that. And I think when people just shoe on them, they're like, no, Cora doesn't believe in analytics. Like, bro, shut up. That's so ridiculous. They act like these guys are managers from 40 years ago. Like, there are no more of those guys around to hire. Most of them are dead. And I don't know what else to tell you about.
You know who ain't dead? Wally Backman. Bring him in, John.
Backman.
We need Wally Backman.
You need Wally Backman.
He kicked these guys in the ass, okay? They win ball games. They'd run through a brick wall for him, and he would go into Citi Field, and he would also choke out that Janela. We want the payback on that story from the Peanuts. He's going to choke out Janela too.
Get me Wally Backman as the manager and Lenny Dykstra as the bench coach. You'll never have a problem again, all right? You might have a problem with both of those guys going to prison or getting arrested, but you ain't never going to have a problem on the baseball field between the white lines.
Oh, my God.
Idiots. Swear to Christ. Lazy Mary saying Kershaw is the Skechers OG, which I was unaware of. And you know what? That makes sense. It just makes sense. Odd villain with an outside the box thought here. Jordani Valdesman for next manager.
He is the man right now. He is the man right now.
He is the man, Ibby, right now and forever? Question mark. Has anyone ever, right? Because it's Ric Flair famously said, to be the man, you've got to beat the man.
That is true.
Has anyone ever beaten Jordani Valdesman in a way that's going to strip him of his title?
I mean, if you want to say who's beating him, I would say that ball to him in the nuts. But, outside of that, maybe that ball's the man right now. But
you know what? He walked that off. He didn't have to get emergency surgery like that other dude, which, Jesus Christ, dude. That's
not exploded.
I know that story is like weeks and weeks old now, but my God, I'll say this, I was playing. So like, obviously I play a lot of softball, modified fast pitch, high arc, whatever. I do not play without a cup. I just cannot do it. I will not play without a cup. And it usually doesn't matter. Last Sunday, there was a bad hop and it hit me right in the cup. And it brought me back to that guy fouling that ball off of his own area. And I was just like, dude, just wear a fucking cup, man. It doesn't make you cooler and it's not uncomfortable. Stop pretending like this is a thing. White lines. Actually, Wally and Lenny had a lot of issues with white lines. What a comment.
Bert coming in saying we do need a surly substance abuse manager. That's a good one too.
We do need a surly substance abuse.
The white lines on the desk. It's a good one too.
I wanted to bring this up before we head into the break. Because this is something no one is talking about. I haven't heard it at least anywhere else. And I think this is after a very funny comment from Carson. I think this is a little bit of a sneaky, astute observation from Carson. Not sneaky because he can't come up with stuff because he always does, but sneaky because, again, I haven't seen this anywhere else. He says, I think Andy Green has more of a consideration for the GM job, not the manager job.
I would agree with that.
Going back to the front office, fill that role. Now you'd be able, if you're Stearns, to fill that role with a guy that you're comfortable with that's already been in two different positions, one working under you in the front office and two
and
working with you.
A guy that was also just filling in and showing you what works in the clubhouse. Now he gives you an idea of what players can actually integrate and fit with these players down there. Like, I think that makes a ton of sense, and I buy that a lot more. Now, look, he probably just wants to go back to the gig that he had, which is fine. But, like, I agree that, if anything, he fits more of that mold because he has the experience within that clubhouse now to see how these guys act and how they work, and then they can, look at other things and say, what actually can fit in here? Let's stop grabbing things just to grab things and fill spots. Let's grab the proper things and put it into this clubhouse, and it allows us to move forward like we have been wanting to move forward with this team that he's just been, that being Stearns, has been striking out when it comes to free agent signings. Let's get the right guys. So having someone that was in there, comes back out, works in the front office, is more involved with those like that could be what ends up working the best. So I do agree with that.
I didn't want to derail you, but Odd Villain said pause and then super pause. Damn. I think it was in relation because I was going to say it. Odd, let me know if this is why you said it. When you said grab what you can grab.
Grab what you can grab. Like,
I was going to say it. I was like, I can't keep derailing you from
that
making
one's
good
too
points.
far. Your mind's in the gutter, Rod. Your mind is in the gutter on that one.
Pantries, speaking of mind in the gutter, saying John's groin into the safe, maybe to keep it safe. Yeah. To which Lazy Mary says, makes a good point. You ever slide head first while wearing a cup? No bueno. I have, and I won't anymore. I won't anymore. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not sliding head first anymore. I'm a feet first kind of slider these days. Odd Villain saying they should hire Omar Minaya so he can be the Denzel to David Stern's Ethan Hawke. Do it training day style, which I kind of like. I kind of like that. I don't actually like that. They're not going to do that, but it's a hilarious take. Before we head into the break, is there anything we missed on this topic? I don't think so. I think this is a good time to sort of put a pin in this, move on. We'll come out of the break, and obviously we'll talk a little bit about what's going in the safe. And then we'll talk about the bullpen, and we'll talk about whether or not we think the Mets are truly buried or if they can, what about Adam Rubin for a job? He has lobby.
It will forever crack me up because that was so classic peak Mets. That's so Mets. Like, oh my God, it's never not funny. And just Ruben's face, he was like in such shock when he said it. Always funny.
It's absolutely
funny.
One of the greatest moments. I like remember when Bartolo hit the home run in San Diego. And Gary Cohen said it's one of the greatest moments in baseball history.
Yes.
And a lot of people took him to task for that because they're like, all right, it was really fun, but I don't know if it's one of the greatest moments in baseball history.
Yeah.
When you compare it to moments that are just bigger, right?
Right.
I think that exchange that we all got to watch live and watch Adam Rubin realize in real time what was happening is one of the greatest moments in baseball history. Jesus Christ. He's just like, wait, what?
Wait.
What?
And then you watch like Omar's like literally trying to defend his point in saying that like he's all serious. Meanwhile, Ruben's just like, what the fuck is going on? And it just kept on going. Oh my God. Classic.
Absolutely insane. Anyway, we'll head into the break. If you're watching for the first time, do not go anywhere. Just a quick 30-second reset, and then we will be right back talking about all the stuff that I mentioned just a few moments ago. John Saponaro, Matt Ibanez, Til Mets Do Us Part, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack, like we are each and every single week. We will be right back. Yo, just like that, we are back with Til Mets Do Us Part, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack, like we are each and every single week. John Saponaro, Matt Ibanez, plus all of you lovely folks who are in the comments, adding levity, adding great points, and really adding, and I say this with all sincerity, you know this because I've said it a million times, Ibby has said it, adding real value to the show, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. Now, that said, if you missed any of the show, you could go back and you can watch whatever you missed as soon as we're done with the live recording, because this video will live on our YouTube, on our Twitter, and on our Substack forever and ever and ever. So if you got here late, if you have to leave early, some combination of the two, if you get stuck in a tunnel and you lose service because you're, on the subway, whatever, we've got you covered. You can pick up this show wherever it is you left off, but you should subscribe to the channel so that you can become a full-fledged participant in said show in the live comments. We appreciate everybody who is here rocking with us each and every single week, but we know not everybody can do that all of the time. And so we've got you covered there as well. If you can't sit down and dedicate an hour or 2 hours to watching this show, either live or after the fact, this will drop by tomorrow morning as an audio podcast, wherever it is you get your podcast. So drop us a rating, drop us a review, like, subscribe, do all of that stuff. It helps us. I hate that I have to ask you to do it, but I know that it helps, and I don't care to learn exactly how it helps, Ibby, but I just know,
do it. Like
do
the
it.
video, subscribe to the channel on Apple, on Spotify, leave a review, leave a 5-star rating. It really helps us in the overall growth of the show, which we continue to do on a day-to-day basis, on a month-to-month basis, on a year-to-year basis as we enter, or I should say, as we are in year 5. Yes, as you should.
I can't read that out. It's just going to sound so weird coming from me. So thank you, Gab. We will rock with that. Anyway, before we get back into the conversation, let's hit them with a quick word from our friends over at Independent Safes.
Absolutely, John. IndependentSafes.com. Independent Safes are protecting homes and businesses with secure residential and commercial safes. Fireproof peace of mind in every corner. Visit IndependentSafes.com today for security that stands strong. And that means it's time for our favorite segment of the week. It is time for someone, and yes, someone is going into the safe this week as we throw away the key, brought to you by our friends over at Independent Safes. And John, I don't know if you're going in the same spot as me, because I know that this man, as you are a lot more of a frequent tweeter than I, John enjoys getting into the muck and calling people out on their shit and going at them and welcoming the fire that rains down upon him when it comes to said tweets. But I know he has an affinity for this person in all the wrong ways. And I always laugh because the second this guy tweets, I know that John's going to have a quote tweet or a tweet within the comments that's saying how dumb this person is. It's like clockwork. And sure enough, it happened again. And I saw the video, and before I saw the tweet, and then of course I saw the video after the fact. You all know where I'm going with this, and I'm sure as I look over in the comments in a moment, a majority of you are probably putting this same moron into the safe, because this person must, because he is just an absolute menace, because the stuff that he puts out there, it's so mind-numbingly stupid. Hoffman, whatever the hell is Pete Hoffman. This guy, I hate the fact that I have to say his name. Don't follow him. Don't like his stuff. The fact that he wants to play it off as if he was in the know that there was a difference between Joshua Baez and Jesus Baez. And obviously we all remember Jesus Baez was the shortstop third base prospect that was dealt away to the Cardinals last year in the deal that was for Ryan Helsley. We knew that as fans, but he thinks
Sleepy Stearns gets it wrong again.
He thinks that Joshua Baez, who was called up, one of the top end prospects for the Cardinals, he thought that that was the same guy that the Mets got rid of, who hit the 3 home runs. And he basically just says David Stearns in a way where he's like, this fucking guy, he's the worst. I told you, he's an idiot, gets rid of all the good players. And then, as Lazy Mary mentioned before, and others are saying in the comments, the camera angle that was brought to the attention of everybody that this person decided to shoot a follow-up on, I don't get it. I'm upset that I had to see it. I didn't want to see that angle. Nobody wanted to see that angle. And yeah, I hate stupidity, and I hate when stupidity is talking sports, especially when it's talking my team. And yeah, so all that being said, I don't need any more Hoffman takes. So I'm locking him into a safe, a panic room at this point, into a panic room, and I'm taking the entire panic room, chucking it into the ocean. No key, no nothing. Can't get out, cannot return. Adios, Mr. Pete Hoffman.
Couple of other comments before I give my take. Pentry said the safe is coming for Ibby's mic now instead of his internet because your mic just randomly stopped working. I was saving that one for a good long while, but a lot of people agreeing with you. I mean, obviously, how could you not? I mean, whether or not they want to put Hoffman in the safe. Gab says Pete Hoffman looked gone off a gas station blue rhino pill in that video. Lazy Mary said Pete Hoffman looked like he smoked a zip of Blue Dream before he posted whatever that shit video was. Pete Hoffman gets high off topical lotion. Also from Lazy Mary. What else do we have here? Odd Villain, Pete Hoffman OnlyFans videos in the safe. Pete Hoffman's perks in the safe. Carson saying Ryan Clifford to the safe. Developmental list. What a brutal year for him.
Oh my God. What was he, like one for his last 49 or something?
Jesus Christ. He sucks, bro. He sucks. He's never gonna he sucks. He sucks. Okay. Armand saying I'm sending those 2 bitches sitting in the front seats where Tatis robbed the home run, Lindor's home run grand slam. That ball was over the fence, try to catch it. And those damn communists, fuck them. I think Lazy Mary said something similar on Twitter, I believe, where it was just like, dude, just please, just like reach over the fucking thing. I'm not saying interfere with the catch, but if you try to catch it, he can't catch it.
Right.
Because the ball was over the fence. Look, there's a lot. Yeah, thank you. Lazy, like Clifford has a 40% K rate in AAA, like fucking brutal. Okay. There's actually a couple of people that I could put in the safe.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. It's personal bias. They're all in the same ecosystem, generally speaking.
Okay.
But a lot of it is not Mets related. Okay. Part of me wants to put Pat McAfee in the safe because it's the only way he won't get another show at ESPN. And like, my God, do we need to be forced to endure any more Pat McAfee? So part of me is just like, I can't. This man needs to be stopped for the good of humanity. Similarly, and closer to Hoffman, part of me wants to put Craig Carton in the safe because surely this TV show will be the one that works for Craig Carton. Let's give Craig Carton another opportunity to do another national TV show. This is going to be the one. Craig Carton, love him or hate him, Ibby, he's good at what he does in the fact that he draws ratings for local radio in New York.
He's great for New York.
That's enough. That's enough of a gig. Stop trying to be on TV.
I agree with that. Like I feel like a lot of the things that they've done with Craigie, I think he is someone that is made for New York. Just thrive there. Like that's what it, like. I mean, they can keep trying, but like I don't think it's going to work that well because it hasn't before. I'm not sure if it's going to work this time.
Yeah. So I could have gone in either one of those. Joe Prano checking in. Live from inside the safe with Pat McAfee, Wednesdays at 8, 7 Central on ESPN. You know this motherfucker would be live from the safe. That's a good one, Joe. Joe coming in hot. Out of nowhere. Joe, I shouted you out for our outing earlier in the show, saying how the Mets are fun again, and we actually went out and had a good time watching the Mets. Anyway, I digress. But I have to, Ibby. I have to put Pete Hoffman in the safe because you just, it's one of those weeks. I like to be fun and we try to pick different people. We try to have a back and forth about it or whatever. To me, the thing that sold Hoffman in the safe is that it's not even the first comment. It's the video after the fact.
Yes.
Because the only thing worse than actual incompetence is weaponized incompetence or faux incompetence for the sake of trying to get people to interact with you. And I think that's what he did. I think that's what he was doing. No one could look at that video and say, this is what he meant all along. So he is either so stupid in a way and so unwilling to admit that he's wrong in a way that should be embarrassing enough for him to go and live on an island and delete social media and just never interact with anyone ever again. Or he's doing it to get a rise out of people. And that is the problem with these shows and sports media and media in general. That's why Pat McAfee exists. It's because of shit like this. It's get a rise out of people. So it's just like, if that's what he's doing, it's gross. It's despicable. It's brutal. And I can't, man. I can't. It's not. And if he's trying to be funny, if he thinks he's being funny, like, God damn it, dude, you're not. You're not. It's not funny either. Like, I think it's Ricky Gervais who said it, where it's like talking about jokes. It's like, oh, comedy is subjective. And he's like, it kind of isn't. Like, sense of humor is subjective, but like funny is a fairly objective concept that like we all kind of can get behind, where it's like, oh yeah, like that thing is funny. Like that's just, and it's just whatever he's trying to do. It's not fucking working. It just doesn't work. And he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. Oddville and Hoffman got no hosts in school.
Like I will say, just to finish off what you were saying, like I just think that like a video like that and the blowback on something like that, and it shows you like this is someone that works at a station that's supposed to be like the hub for New York sports talk. Like that's been what WFAN has been forever. And you have stupidity like this, and it's pushed across as if, oh, it's getting attention and it's this and it's like, no, we're talking about an extremely smart and dedicated fan base, and New York fans, for as loud as the WFAN caller is and how dumb they can come across at times, New York fans are very much in the know when it comes to their team. So when you have something as dumb as that said, you're going to get shit for it. And when you try to play it off like you weren't being a complete moron instead of just owning it, like, to me, that comes where you were saying that weaponizing of something where it's like, this guy shouldn't be in this type of spot. And that's not coming from a place of jealousy. I could care less. It's just more so like, I care more about how my team is covered and how they're spoken about. And I think saying something like that is just fucking stupid. And I think you should just own it. And he couldn't even do that.
Joe Prano. I'm giving Hoffman the thumbs down, just like Joshua Baez famously did to Mets fans. That's really good, Joe. Oh, man. We did it, Joe.
Joe is looking for a three-peat here. He's coming in hot, looking for a three-peat. Oh, man.
This one's funny from Lazy Mary. Just got a Yankees ad in the middle of the show. Thanks, John Alba. Because John Alba was dropping a lot of Yankee comparisons earlier when he joined in the comments. Very funny. Yeah, it's just, look, he is an entertainer. I've talked about this before when you say there's a thin line in sports between entertainment and journalism. And there's become a thin line in the world between entertainment and journalism and what is entertainment period versus what is real and what is news and whatever. So I understand fully that Pete Hoffman is not a journalist. So he is not beholden to the same level of integrity as Laura Albanese or Will Salmon. Like, he doesn't have to print a retraction. He is an entertainer. He's not a good one, but that's what he works. He works in entertainment, not in journalism. Right. But sometimes there is a spot where the Venn diagram overlaps, and we have all of our fun about Mike Francesa and Chris Mad Dog Russo and these guys who are, over the hill, and they have a shtick, and you could laugh and we can make fun and we can have all this fun at their expense or whatever. And for all the things that they've gotten wrong historically, there were times, though, where these guys were locked into objectivity and would say that they were wrong and would say, like, and for Pete not to be able, not as a journalist, not as somebody who just as a human being, to not be like, oh, I didn't know. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And I think that's the biggest issue for me. Gab, Laura Albanese is a journalist because I thought she was a food blogger, like my favorite, Jake Brown.
Jesus
Very
Christ.
Funny. Anyway, that will do it for this segment of throwing away the key. There was just no better person to put inside the safe than Pete Hoffman. Because yes, I was saving this, by the way, but easy. His response video was so disingenuous. It was just a joke. The whole thing was was just absolutely piss poor, start to finish, beginning to end. So as far as the Mets are concerned, Kodai Senga has his little bit of first time in the closer role, a rough outing today, but he is able to bear down and save the game for the Mets anyway. And Kodai Senga has been really good in this role as a closer for the New York Mets. He keeps on rolling. We talked about it last week. We talked about it the week before. This is a role that seems like it would fit him well because of his stuff, how his stuff plays up, the ability to go down to just 2 pitches, sometimes mixing in a third, whatever, with the cutter. His quirkiness, he is a guy who very famously, when he was good as a starter for the Mets, would always limit the damage once guys were on base. That was kind of when he would bear down. So seems like he's got the right moxie for it. Seems like he's enjoying it now. As we transition from Kodai into the bigger conversation about the bullpen in 2027, I know it's only been a small sample size, but I'm ready to say that Kodai Senga can be in the bullpen in 2027 and can be a weapon. I'm not ready to say in which role yet, but just in about 2 weeks of doing this, I think he's here to stay. And again, the alternatives are paying him to go away or paying him to suck in another role. And I just think, even if you can recoup whatever percent of the value of his contract because he's an effective relief pitcher in short spurts, that's going to be better than any other alternative. You're not going to be able to trade him. You don't want to cut him and pay the money anyway. So get something back for your investment here. But I think he's going to be a part of the bullpen. I do.
I think right now he is auditioning, and the early returns are showing that he can be a piece to the bullpen. I'm not ready to anoint him like how some have said, oh, this guy could be your closer, and then you can move Williams to the 8th. Like, I'm not going there just yet, and I don't think I will go there. But he's working hard for a role, and it's best, it's in the best interest for the Mets that he can actually do something within a role like that, because obviously they would much rather him provide something of the contract or the money that he's getting, as opposed to just paying him to go away or paying him to just, rot on the unemployment line. But yeah, I think that I think that he is showing that he can do something. Now, you could also say that this is very low leverage because of where this team is, but still being able to succeed in spots, though it's low leverage, I think it still matters. But I really feel that for now, it's only been a short amount of time. Let's see how the rest of the season finishes out. But I do think that he has found a spot, like you said, wherever it may be inning wise, that's still to be determined, in my opinion. I do think that he is finding a spot within the bullpen. And like we said at the start, we have reworked this bullpen so much, but there are some names already here post deadline where you can say, hey, there's not as much work that needs to be done. We don't think that we have to rework an entire bullpen yet again because it already consists of 3 or 4 names.
Yeah, a couple of really good ones here. Joe DeMeo saying it's not low leverage, regardless of the quality of the team. It's still closing games in the major leagues.
It's very true.
In the city of New York, which I do agree with. Carson saying he's allowed base runners in nearly every outing. I'm not doing this shit. That's why I fall short of saying he's the closer or he's the 8th inning guy. I just think you have to pay him no matter what. And I think the positive that's coming from this is he's showing you that he can be a guy who can pitch back-to-back days or 2 out of 3 days, whatever, in 1 inning bursts, and that will be a value to your team. I mean, this is a bit of a digression, but I think it is a worthwhile conversation before we go deeper into the bullpen. First of all, Odd Villain says, but knowing Stearns, he's going to sign a 38-year-old art teacher, which is very funny. No, this is the digression, which I think is worth a moment. Lazy Mary says, he doesn't even have 5 saves yet, and he's got a fucking walkout spectacle. Call me a hater, but I don't need the entrance antics, and Beat It is a dumb song choice. I don't give a fuck. Now, look, there's a lot there to unpack.
Yeah.
Lazy is not really a hater when it comes to, like we've talked about Jeffrey Don and bat flips and all that stuff. I know Odd was joking about that in the comments too. But you and I are the same. Have fun. Go out there. Do the antics. Like, you know, you don't want a bat flip. Don't give up the home run. You don't want a guy jumping in the air. Don't strike out, right? Like, baseball is fun. It's a game. It's a child's game. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be entertaining. I agree completely with all of that. I also kind of agree with Lazy Mary here, though, for a few things. I'll just go back to the first one. I think closers kind of getting into this role where they have a song and it's a whole thing, I think it needs to be a little bit more organic. And this Kodai Senga situation feels a bit more forced. It feels like the Mets used to have a lot of pomp and circumstance with Diaz. The Mets are having a bad season and fans are still showing up, so they want to put on a show. It's a gimmick. It feels like a gimmick, not like, oh, this is Hell's Bells. This is Enter Sandman. This is whatever. It feels like a gimmick. It feels like Kodai Senga gave himself a nickname. You know, like you can't give yourself a nickname. Somebody else has to give it. It feels inorganic and it feels forced. I don't know if you agree.
I mean, I'm all about fun and I love entrances and things like that. But I do agree that it's like it happens over the course of time, and it builds based off of how you are competing and how successful you are as a closer. So it's like these things build up and they become more of a spectacle, if you will, with like a light show and all these things and everything's going crazy. Whether you are a prime Edwin Diaz, whether you are a Johan Duran, whether you are obviously Mo didn't have, a whole pomp and circumstance thing, but just Enter Sandman in general. Like when you have something like that, it's because like when that person comes in, it's like game's over. Like, here's your show. Like, let's get ready because you're going home soon. So we're going to give you a little bit of a show, and then it's time to go home because we'll walk with a W. Like, that's essentially what those things are supposed to be. Now, I do believe that this is a have fun thing because the team has been bad. So we don't have an entrance like we used to have. He's doing his thing or really not doing his thing in LA. So here's a new one. And I can agree with Lazy where it's like, the song choice or what have you. Like, I feel like Ghostbusters was like right there. And I think it's very easy to go that route instead if we're talking like music choices. But in general, I think it might be a little bit too soon to give said entrance because, to the point he made, not even 5 saves. And it's like, what exactly have you done? Because, a handful of weeks ago, we were talking about this guy, being an absolute waste of space and everyone wanted him gone. Now he gets an entire thing. And shout out to him for like rediscovering himself, and he's doing a great job right now. But at the same time, it's kind of like, maybe you should just pump the brakes just a little bit.
I see where Gab's coming from. So 2 comments from Gab. First one, I don't like Beat It as a song for this, but I am pro Senga show, saying then he's had a bad year and he's found his stride. Let him get hyped up with a little MJ. I don't think that's wrong either.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is not let me actually just say it this way. I don't think this is a right or wrong conversation, right? I don't think there's like I'm not going to lose sleep over him having an entrance. Closers have
I'm not
entrances.
losing.
That's what it is. Every relief pitcher has some semblance of an entrance, even if it's just an entrance song when they're home. Like, that's how it is. Walk-up music. So, like, I'm not getting crazy over it. I just think you really nailed it when you said, like, some of these guys get to the established point. Every one of them has a song they come out to. But some of them get to a point where it's like, when this guy comes in, it's game over. And now we've built an entrance. We've given them a WWE style pop for the crowd. And I just think that needs to be a bit more earned. And I do think that needs to be a bit more organic. And I do think that needs to take a longer time to develop, to your point. This is a guy who less than a month ago, we were like, should we just DFA him? Because, like, trade deadline, no one wants him. Mets are going to, have an entirely new roster. Nobody's going to trade for Senga. Maybe we'll just cut him. And you go from that to having a whole thing. I just feel like it's a little like,
I'm cracking up here.
Much.
I'm cracking up at some of the comments here. Odd saying he should moonwalk to the mound, and then
he'll get hurt immediately.
And then Carson coming in and saying Senga can't moonwalk. He'd break both legs.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't see those. So there you go.
That's a good one. Oh man.
Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. And like, see, this is the other thing. Like, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think Armand's wrong with this either. Like, Senga should come out to the Ghostbusters theme. I feel like that's forced too. I just like, let it just happen. It just
no, I went
because Odd Villain said Pokemon cards, a lot of money in this shit.
Someone say cards. No, I thought that was just like, I felt like it was like low hanging fruit. It's like Ghost Fork, Ghostbusters. Like, I felt like it was just New York. Like, it's kind of just like right there. I'm kind of shocked that they didn't go that route, but that was it.
Yes. See, Odd Villain knows what's
come out the Ghost Fate. There you go. Okay.
There you go. That's, come out to something from like fucking Supreme Clientele. You know what I mean? That's how you, and then like, look, there's a bunch of people who call into WFAN who aren't going to get it. And that's fine. And that's fine. To me, like a closer, sometimes it's like, okay, not everything needs to be badass, right? Like, you can have some whimsy and still be dope. But to me, there's something like about a closer coming out to Ghostbusters. Like, it's just, it doesn't punch.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Carson's comment. Senga should come out to the clip of Mad Dog Russo saying, "Is Otani's free agency the atomic bomb?" Oh my god.
Oh my god. Fucking so foot in his mouth. Okay, Ibby, we can play this game if you want to.
Oh my god.
Joe DeMayo. What would Ibby and John's walkout songs be?
Oh, that's tough on the spot. That's tough on the spot. Like,
it is. It is tough on the spot.
I mean, if you can assign that as homework, I could probably think of something, but on the spot, I'm not sure. As a hitter, as a pitcher, I'm not sure. Like a closer, like
I can give you 2. I can give you 2 because I just had this conversation with somebody. So it's a little fresher in my mind. This is great. This is great. Odd villain. I'd be cracking up at the plate of the pitcher at a Ghostbusters song. Yeah, man. Like,
That's so you get them off their game. You get them off their game.
Ray Parker, right? Is that
Ray Parker? Yes,
Ray Parker. Not to be confused with Ray Park, who was Darth Maul, right? Isn't that the guy who played Darth Maul was Ray Park, not Ray Parker? Yeah. Anyway, this is a pop culture podcast now. We don't talk Mets baseball. We just talk about B-side of movies. Oh, here we go. Gab. Here Comes the Hot Stepper is a good one. That is a good. No, you disagree?
No. I'm sorry. I was reading more comments. So that is a good one, but I was getting lost in some of these comments. I apologize.
Joe DeMeo is closer. You're getting a light show, so you're a closer. Yeah. Lazy Mary, freshman, Beastie Boys, Brass Monkey, sophomore. You Don't Know, Jay-Z. You Don't Know is a really good one. Junior. Kick in the Door, Biggie, Senior, Intergalactic, Beastie Boys. Those are all really good ones.
Those are really good ones.
I think 100% church music, Eagles Wings.
That's a good one.
These are all really good ones. My favorite one from Lazy is You Don't Know by Jay-Z is a fucking banger. And that one's really big. Really, really good. I think closer is tough because you do get the full light show. Because I think there's like a vibe if you're coming out, like just to walk up to the plate. One that always, I've one song that I love that I think kind of has the right knock and like a little bit of an intro, not like a really long pause wrestling intro, is Lazaretto by Jack White. That song goes really hard. Right on cue. Lazy saying, if I'm a closer, I come out to heavy metal. So I don't know. Jack White's not exactly heavy metal, but obviously a lot of his songs go pretty hard. So if I had to pick closer, I'd say let's go Lazaretto, Jack White. And then if it's just general like walk up song, Easy Rider, Action Bronson is.
It's a good one.
That's Easy Rider. Easy Rider hits, man. So those are my 2. I don't know if that gave you enough to come up with something, but
I mean,
it's hard. I only
hard.
have those on mine because I just had this conversation like a week ago.
I hate being on the spot. I really do.
Ibby is So Fresh, So Clean by Outkast. John's is just a dubstep remix of Francesa saying, okay, over and over again, which is good. Joe thinks you want Beat It, but Senga stole it.
No, I wouldn't do Beat It. I wouldn't. I'm more so with Lazy, where it's like I can't think of what I would choose right off the top of my head, but it would definitely be something in the rock genre. I would definitely go that route for sure. I just don't know which song.
Berto said, and the twins, the Coors Light incest.
Love.
And the twins. That's something I never thought I would reference again or remember. And then as soon as he typed it, I read it in the and the twins. Oh my God, that is so funny.
Oh man.
That is so funny. Jesus Christ. Gab said also If I Can't by 50 Cent, which is a good one.
Ooh, love that. That's a good one too.
And then Black Banner saying Rage Against the Machine, Sleep Now in the Fire. Sleep Now in the Fire is a good one too.
That's a good one too.
I'll tell you what's a good one, and it would only work. God. Because there's no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I'm reading Armand's comment, and he's not far off because I really like one of my favorite entrances is as a wrestling fan, he's bringing up, Final Countdown with Bryan Danielson, like that entrance and the amount of times I've seen it live and how it hits a certain way and how everyone is chanting along with the song, like that is awesome. So that's definitely an idea. I don't know if I would choose it, but I do love the idea of an entire place singing along with that song and then all popping. Like once you hit the mound and everyone screams Final Countdown, like that would be kind of cool.
You know, it's another good one, but There's a reason why, as a Mets fan, I can't do this one. And as soon as I say it, you're going to know why. Run the Jewels, Yankee and the Brave is that song absolutely bops, but it's, literally Yankee and the Brave, and it's, LP being from New York, being a Yankee fan, and Killer Mike being, from Georgia. And it's just like, as a Mets fan, I can't co-sign that, but that shit has an absolute bop. I guess that would be, this is a good one to come out to, just that on repeat. For sure.
Gab, you're killing me. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Lazy Mary, I'd like to come out to the Rey Mysterio theme song, but only if I could jump out of a stage onto the mound. You imagine them wheeling them out?
I'm just imagining like the mound drops and then all of a sudden it shoots you back up as it, as Rey Mysterio's theme is playing. Like that'd be awesome.
What about hit him up, but you started right from the beginning? Yeah, you can. Like it would just honestly, that'd be hilarious to do it with really pronounced bleeps. if you're in the stadium. Oh God, great.
Oh my God.
I don't know this one. Glorious, Bobby Roode.
Oh, that's a great one. That is a great one. Search it up. You'll understand why it was that. That's a good one. It's a wrestling one from NXT. That was a good one.
Okay.
That was a good one.
That was fun. I think we pulled out a bunch of good ones. Really quickly, Ibby, as it relates to the rest of the bullpen. I mean, I said this on Twitter earlier today, and I do stand by it. I think this thought process, and I understand why. I don't think it was off base. The Mets put a bullpen together, sold off all the pieces, went to a bunch of unknowns, ne'er-do-wells, never-wases, retreads, people coming off of injuries and all kinds of crazy stuff. So this idea that they were going to have to rebuild their entire bullpen in the offseason seemed to be right in line with conventional wisdom. Now, they're still going to have to add a ton. They're going to have to go out and get like at least one high-priced, high-leverage, proven guy. Maybe the dude who just left town, Adrian Morejon, he comes to mind as somebody who would fit this team like a glove. But when you look at Austin Warren, Daniel Duarte, Nate Lavender, Kodai Senga in some kind of form, and the obvious that Devin Williams is going to be here, I think those five guys have shown enough to me over their stint with the Mets this year that they need to be in the mix. Again, I'm not assigning roles. I'm not even willing to say Devin Williams is the closer. But I think those five guys have done enough where you're like, well, those guys are, that's the building block. That's the foundation. Yeah. I don't know if you disagree with any of them.
No, I'm
whatever
with
the case may be. I don't know if you want to add somebody else. Like somebody else was like, hey, if somebody on Twitter said to me, if Daniel Nunez ever regains form, like he'd be a guy. But it's like, yeah, I'm holding back on a guy who hasn't shown it yet. With Jeffrey Yan, the stuff is electric, but the command is a nightmare.
It's worrisome. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and look, he's a guy who is also, the Mets have like 6 years of team control on Jeffrey Yan, so he'll probably be on the taxi squad. He'll be up, he'll be down, whatever. And so he's going to be a guy who's in the mix. I'm not talking about in the mix guys when I say Warren, Lavender, Duarte, Senga, and Williams. I'm talking about guys who, if they're in the bullpen to open 2027, I'm not going to freak out.
Right. And I think that you're like, that's what we were saying before. Like, I feel that this bullpen is establishing a foundation for what. So I don't like, we were worried when we were talking pre-deadline about the idea of trading away. And that was a big point for a lot of people. It's like, we're trading with people that have this coverage and these years, and we can't, and we agreed with this, like, we can't just keep going out and buying and spending every year and rebuilding a bullpen like, there has to be some sort of consistency. But again, if you can build these things from within, which you're getting, hopefully Jeffrey Yan can command better moving forward, and he can become set piece. You're seeing Nate Lavender. You're hoping that some of the other kids can develop and provide. And the names that you mentioned, like, I feel that there is a base here, and it's not something where because there are other holes for this team. It's not where this team needs to go out, that being Stearns, and if he hires a GM or whoever else, like they don't have to go out and worry about having their hands in 5, 6, 7, 8 different places trying to fill the needs of this team. I think the pen is in a good spot. We'll watch how the rest of this season finishes out, but I think they are in a spot where they can say, hey, we feel really good about 4 of these names. We're a little bit on the fence about 2 or 3 of them, but in turn, we think if we can go out and sign a name or 2, we think we're in a really good spot. And I think that in general puts the Mets in a solid spot for the bullpen going into 27.
Yeah, and like Odd Villain mentioned these 2 guys, Brian Abreu and Adrian Morejon.
Look,
like,
Morejon is
kind of
Morejon would be great. It would be great.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing. Like, honestly, if the Mets got one of those 2 guys plus a guy who, isn't a retread, isn't a let's see what happens, but maybe isn't as much of a known commodity as these 2 guys are, you know what I'm saying? I think I'd still be happy with that.
That's what I think it would end up being. Like a name like that. I would a bigger one like Morejon. Like I think that'd be great. And then a second tier. Like that'd be great. It would.
And then they're going to round it out with other folks, right? Like,
of course,
other people in the mix.
And to Joe DeMayo's point, like he's been saying in the comments and he's been saying on Twitter, it's like we know David Stearns can build a bullpen. We know he can. He just dealt away his entire bullpen, and they're still dominating as a unit. So it's like you have to be able to trust him. And I know a lot of people don't trust David Stearns right now, but when it comes to a bullpen, let the guy cook. Like he knows what he's doing. He can build in that sense. He's done it before. He's continuing to do it now. So he does have my trust when it comes to handling of said bullpen. So if he believes that, like we said, 4, maybe 5 of these names can be the strong foundation for his pen, mix in a piece or 2 and go from there, I'm with it.
Shout out Armand too, because before Odd Villain said this, Armand also said Morejon and Brian Abreu. So I just wanted to give him his pop there because he did say it also, and I don't want to just give all the credit. I mean, those are 2 names, for sure to identify with the Mets. Maybe not both of them, but one or the other seems to make a lot of sense for the Mets. Ibby, there you go. Joe DeMayo. I absolutely love Adrian Morejon. I really like spending big on relievers. This one I would. I tend to agree.
I agree. And that's why I was like, when I was saying Morejon before, like I was wondering, is this someone that Stearns would spend big money on yet again when it comes to the pen that would probably not even be acting? I don't think, at least, like acting in the closer role. So it's like, would he spend that type of money? Because he is going to have, be the top guy on the market. Would he spend? Like, I agree with Joe here. Like, I think that this is a guy that I would go after because you want to, continue to have a stronghold when it comes to your bullpen. I think adding a piece like that really puts stamp on. I really do.
Can we do a slight digression into something that is more of a off-season topic, but because we're kind of talking about adding to the relief core, I want to pull this up from Odd because I had a thought about this. So Odd says Seiya Suzuki and Vinny Pasquantino for the lineup, and then definitely sign Morejon. Leave the Morejon part out. Honestly, leave Pasquantino out because I think the Mets would have to trade for him, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's not a free agent at any time soon. So somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was under the impression that Pasquantino would need to be traded for. I know Odd loves Pasquantino. He does make some sense, honestly, for a team that needs a first baseman or even a DH, whatever the case is. Thank you, Armand. Vinny is not a free agent. So
no, he's not.
He would have to be traded for. So the other reason why I brought this up, Ibby, is because he mentioned Seiya Suzuki. Now, Seiya Suzuki is a guy who you could definitely give like DH at bats to, but when you look at the free agent class, we've talked about with like Bo Bichette being likely the best guy, there's not a lot of options. And then I realized that some of these other folks that are available are outfielders first. And my question then becomes, I listened to Locked On Mets with Ryan Finkelstein today, and he kind of brought this up where maybe the Mets would be in a market for Suzuki or for Ian Happ or for Randy Arozarena. But then that would mean that you're kind of having a conversation with Juan Soto about being a DH maybe sooner than he would want to be. And it is kind of for the better of the team. Is that something that you yourself would be a fan of? And do you think the Mets have any interest at all in doing that? Or because there some of those guys like Suzuki, I mean, Hap for sure because of the defense, the leadership, but I love me some Randy Arozarena too. Like those guys fit this team, but they don't fit the team positionally. Now you could sign, you wouldn't do it with Hap, but you could sign, I guess, a Arozarena or Suzuki and be like, you're going to be DH most of the time and you'll play outfield sometimes. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. And I don't know if that's something you would consider doing.
I mean, I honestly, when it comes to something like that, I think that's a conversation with Soto, and I've been steadfast on this show. Obviously, health does matter, but I've been steadfast since last year when this started to become a conversation for people where they're like, oh, he's just move him to first base and do this and that, or just make him a DH, this and that. I'm like, I don't think that is truly a conversation until he hits his 30s, and I still think I've said that the first 5 years of that contract, so I put it at 31 years old, I was saying, like, I don't think that conversation is going to be had until he hits that point. But look, health does matter. If his legs start becoming a more consistent issue and he starts missing time, and if this year, I hope isn't a start of something that can be more of a consistent issue. But if it does, then that's a conversation that you truly have to have, because this is an investment. It's like, hey man, we want to keep you healthy. This is the best way, and you can't be in the outfield. That's another conversation entirely. But as the thought exercise right now, I mean, I don't mind talking about it. I just don't think it's all that likely. If you're going to be signing an outfielder, it would be of someone like a Suzuki type, but because he is more of the DH type in that way.
I tend to agree. Because I think Joe DeMeo makes some good points here. He says the Mets are going to have a DH because Jorge Polanco is fixing his bursa sack.
It's true.
And then says Soto is a left fielder until he doesn't want to be. I mean, that's
what it is. That's essentially, that's really what it comes down to. And he has the right to. He signed the biggest contract in North American sports history. Like, and you gave him that money. Like, that's what it is. And to Gab's point, non-deferred. Non-deferred.
Yes. Yeah. And look, let's be honest. This is, again, a conversation for the offseason. I just thought it was interesting because it's like, some of those players do really fit. And if you're the Mets, you're going to be looking to add offense somewhere. And if Bichette opts in, that limits where you can add offense. If Bichette opts out, it adds the impetus to even add more offense. So it's just a very interesting situation that I thought was worth kind of having just a moment for sure to talk about. But last thing we'll get into today is about where these Mets are. They've gone 12-4 since the deadline, like we talked about. They are 48-49 since May 2nd. Those two stats come from Joe Saturn earlier in the show. They are I think above 500 or right at 500 team now under Andy Green. And a lot of people are starting to believe the hype. There's like 34 games left, something like that, 35, 36, somewhere in that range.
34, I believe. Yeah.
34. They're 10 games out. It's not mathematically impossible. They're playing good baseball. They are playing a lot of teams that they would have to try to catch, like they just took 2 out of 3 from the Padres, who are definitely in front of them. They're going to get a good litmus test because they're playing the Milwaukee Brewers, and they're going to play the Braves again. They're going to play good teams again. They got to play the Yankees. So if they do it or they even come close, they will have earned it because there's a little bit of a gauntlet here. But I think and I'm not going to tell anybody to not be, you got to believe. I'm not going to tell anybody who's bought back in to say like, oh, you're being too optimistic. I'm not going to do that. My hesitation for why I cannot buy into this right now unless they continue some kind of miraculous run. Let's win 8 in a row. Add that to where they at now, and let's see what happens then. My issue is the game 2 nights ago. The Mets played well enough to win.
Yeah.
But they played a good team with a superstar player, And Fernando Tatis single-handedly made sure that the Mets did not win the game.
It's a 7-run swing just by him alone.
7-run swing.
7-run swing.
He knocked in 3 and he took away 4. The Mets are in a position they were buried so deeply that they sort of need, not hyperbole, Ibby, everything to go right. In life, in baseball, in sports, not everything goes right. And when you're a team like the Mets, playing all these good teams on their schedule, playing against superstars, playing against teams that are playing for the playoffs and trying to get into shape or trying to fight their way into the playoffs and they're closer than you are, you're going to run into games like the Mets ran into with Tatis. And if the Mets were closer, if this was earlier in the season, you'd say, it's one game. They took 2 out of 3. That's the important part. But 2 out of 3 doesn't really matter now. And so for me, that game is the shining example of why I personally cannot buy in, because there's not a lot of time to make up the ground that they have really buried themselves under. And you're just going to be playing too many good players, too many good teams, too many teams trying to win. And I just don't think it's going to break their way. And to me, that's the pushback. That's where I say, I can't. It's this, honestly, long-winded way of saying what Ethan just said. There's no room for error if you want to go on that run. 0 room.
You basically have to be perfect, and it just brings me back to what we were talking about earlier. It's like, man, if some things would have changed a little bit earlier, you would have had an opportunity to maybe make this a little bit more interesting, less room. I should say more room for a little bit of error. Now, like I said, must be perfect. I just think that as much fun as it is to watch this team right now, and I want them to keep playing good baseball, it's entertaining in that sense. I just think that I think it's too late. And I think that what I was saying before is what eventually is going to be the tell-all. And it's like, you're going to look back on this season and you're going to go, man, if they didn't have that 12-game losing streak, man, if they would have fired him a little bit sooner, man, what could have, it's like, I think it's going to be looking back the same way we looked at 25, where it's like you looked at it and you said, man, it was one game. They couldn't win one game. They couldn't win one series. They couldn't go on a little bit of a run during this portion, this easy stretch in the schedule, and they couldn't do it. I feel like that's what's going to end up happening here. I will be ecstatic if I am wrong, and I will be cheering along the way. But because of all the things that have gone on, it's hard to think that, hey, mathematically still alive, but am I going to get so enveloped and into it to a point where I'm like, they can fucking do this? Like, I can't get there just yet. I hope they can do it, but it's not something where I'm going to lose sleep over, because it's like I've kind of made my peace with it to this point. Still watching, but hopefully they can prove me wrong, but that's kind of where I am.
Joe Prano saying 10 games back isn't the issue. It's the fact that they'd have to leapfrog almost the entire NL. And I think that's true. Pantrese with a really great point here. No need to buy in, just have fun. And I think that's Joe
fair.
DeMayo agrees, saying exactly Pantrese. But Ibby, I think that's where I'm at. And that's why, if to take it full circle, the conversation we just had versus the one we had at the very beginning, I'm not going to tell anyone not to buy in, because if you buying in is helping you have fun, that's what this is about. I just can't buy in because I'm just looking at it one step back. Every series they win, I'm not going to lie to you, Ibby. I'm like, well, maybe. I feel the pull a little bit, because you and I have talked about this a ton. I think we're both the type of fan that is pretty realistic, but skew a little optimistic. You've always said, like, especially since the Wolpons were gone, that's how you look at the Mets.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always looked at sports. Like, I want to watch my teams with something to root for, some kind of glimmer of hope. And so I try to be right objective down the middle, but I definitely skew a drop towards optimistic. So I'm certainly not going to dump on anybody if they're like, I think they can do it. I really think they could do it. Every time I get that feeling, I kind of say, well, they do have to leapfrog over the entire NL. I do say, well, they buried themselves. Well, do they really have the offense that can go on a run? Can they really beat some of these really good teams? And it's not to rain on my own parade. It's just, my positivity clicks over, and then my objectivity is like, you're still having fun. Just watch it and just have fun. Just stay right in the middle. I don't know.
Essentially, that's what it comes down to. At this point, just have fun with the remaining 34 games. What happens, happens.
Yeah, and odd saying it a different way, but same thing. You can still have fun and understand the team sucks. That's fair. I mean,
fair.
You can
fair.
They don't suck right now, but they have sucked. They are a team.
A majority of the season, yeah.
Yeah, so it's you're not even dumping on them when you say they suck. It's just like, they've sucked. This has been a suck year. Pause.
Yes.
You ready to crown a comment and get out of here?
I am ready to crown a comment.
Okay. I will pull up the I'll pull up the screen. You can go ahead and pull up your comment.
Look, Odd, I'm sorry. Like, I thought I was gonna go with you. I really was. And then Joe came in and he took it. I'm going Hoffman. I'm giving Hoffman a thumbs down, just like Joshua Baez famously did to the Mets fans. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was well placed. Like, it was the comment. And I Joe, that's 3 in a row for you from me. I'm sure it's been done before. I gotta look at the notes, but maybe it hasn't. If it hasn't, good on you for being a 3-peat. But yeah, I'm giving it to Joe on this one.
It's funny, Ibby, because I thought for sure as comments were coming in, and this is a testament to how people have really been knocking it out the park on a day like today. It's sometimes like there's a lot of funny comments, but they all come at the end, or sometimes a lot of funny comments and they all come right at the beginning or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of sprinkled through, and it was from different folks. I really loved the next manager got to wear Tim's from Odd Villain, and I
that
thought
was a great
that was
one.
going to be the one.
I thought that was going to be the one.
And then we had that conversation about it, and it spawned, which sometimes plays into it. Like, if we could start having more fun off of some of those comments, they're funny, but whatever. I thought that was going to be it. Then Joe came in, and Joe had Live from Inside the Safe with Pat McAfee, Wednesdays, 8/7 Central on ESPN, which was like fucking timely as hell. And that was so good. And that swayed me. And then I thought just because of the natural reaction of, and the twins and calling it the Coors Light incest song, which, if we're being honest, we all know that's what it is. I don't even know if I could say that word. I don't know if we're going to get demonetized. My bad. You wrote it. I'm just reading what's on the screen. I'm Ron Burgundy. I'll read whatever's on the teleprompter. But Ibby, I'm with you. I just think the single best comment was this. I want to spread the love. Odd Villain comes through with a lot of them. Lazy Mary and Gab. I mean, everybody is really, really good at throwing in comments. Stevie Max had a couple good ones, and Burnt Toast. But this is fucking hilarious, and it's timely, and it's good. So it's going to be a 3P for me as well.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks to be on that stage.
Go see Joe Prano, by the way. West Side
Go
Comedy
see
Club,
Joe Prano
tonight. I don't know if Joe's still here. Joe was promoting a show earlier on social media, and I don't remember if it was tonight or tomorrow night. But Joe is actually, like, sincerely, guys. I know a lot of you folks obviously live back east. Joe is a proper touring comedian, actively. Oh, there's Joe. Like, Joe goes back to Joe's also from New York. Of course, he lives out here in LA where I live, but West Side Comedy Theater tonight for Joe Prano. Go see him. But when Joe comes back east, where he plays the Stand a lot, does a lot of stuff, in New York City. Like, if you live in New York, if you live in New Jersey, you should go see Joe, because he's fucking funny, man. Joe is, there you go. Boom. In New York, late September, early October for shows. Joe is funny as hell. Like, Joe is like, not because he's my buddy, not because we used to do stand up together when I did stand up, but like, for real, like, I've enjoyed it. I've just gone and enjoyed it as a comedy fan. So can't get a better endorsement than that. Also, I should mention, Ibby, Odd is right. Lazy's hit him up comment was his favorite.
That was another good one. It was a tough
hit him
today.
up right from the beginning. Is the wording of that is very funny. So there's a beef with Carson happening.
That always happens
between Lazy and Carson. Come on, guys, don't do it. I see what's happening. Oh, get your popcorn and pasta ready for the beef. You know, the best joke for Joe is that he planned that trip because he figured he'd be able to catch a Mets playoff game when he was in town.
Joe.
Joke's on you this time, Joe.
On that note, let's get out of here.
We're dipping tonight, boys. Joe DeMeo wants to know if we can get to the Francesa portion of the program. I don't think we have a reason to. I think we kind of touched on it before.
We kind of, I think we gave a little bit of that piece earlier in the show, which is why I said we can't do it now. We kind of went into it, and I do got to get out of here. So we will table it, and hopefully we can end on the show next week.
And I do think Ibby and I will work it out, but I think there is a chance, even if we do a short version of the show or something, but we have to probably do a Mike and the Mad Dog episode.
We'll do something. We're definitely going to do something. We'll make it work.
For sure. Take us out on this one. Good question from Stevie Mac. So do you put the pasta in the bowl first or the popcorn? Ibby, what would you do? Because I don't know if you're like some.
I thought it was in the box. I thought it was in the popcorn box.
I guess so. So if it's in the but what's in the box? It's actually what if you shriek, what's in the box? The only thing that could be more terrifying than your pregnant wife's severed head is if you open a box and it's filled with popcorn pasta and hot dogs.
Oh my God.
Okay.
All right. Let's get out of here.
Okay. We got to get out of here. Yeah, I knew that. That one was for Gab exclusively. Some jokes are just for one person, two people along the way. Anyway, guys, it's been an absolute blast like it is every week. We will be back with you next week on Wednesday, probably at 5:30, maybe more likely 5:38. I'm John. That's Ibby. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a rating, leave us a review on the podcast stuff. Even if you never listen to the podcast and you're just here with us, pop on over to fucking iTunes and just be like or whatever, follow the show, whatever the case may be. Anyway, like I said, I'm John. That's Ibby. This is Til Mets Do Us Part. We'll be back with you next week.